Thank you for all coming. We're here today on what essentially are 5 bills that we'll be voting on, 3 of which are out, 2 of which still haven't made their way out, which is Second Chance and the bonding bill. And, when you talk about the process, I don't mind an imperfect process, but what I mind is a disastrous process. This is just simply unfair. It is unfair to the voters of the state of Connecticut. The whole point of postponing this from the Tuesday-Wednesday problem was giving people the opportunity to review the documents, figure out what's going on, let folks weigh in who actually know the topics that the budget hits on or the implementer hits on, and give them opportunity to tell us how it affects them, because we don't know everything. That's what public hearings are about, and that's what the process is supposed to be about. We got the implementer at 2:49 this morning. I started reading it at 5, but we got the implementer at 2:49 this morning. The implementer has a lot of stuff in there. There's some retroactivity with respect to hospitals that affects the current lawsuit they have. How does it affect the current lawsuit? I don't really know yet, but I know that it's retroactive to 2011, and I know it affects the lawsuit the way it's kind of written. Those are the types of things that people have a right to know about, weigh in, and talk about, and educate us, and let us know what the effect is. We haven't finished reviewing the implementer, so I can't explain all the different things there are in the implementer, but those things that we have reviewed, we have some issues with. That all being said, not only is the process a horrible process, but we were promised that this would not be the process. The governor promised in February, let's not pass it the last day. I would argue there's no difference between passing it a last day and getting the documents to legislators the last day than is continuing in 1 week and getting most of the documents to the legislators that very same day. I would argue there's a distinction without a difference. Beyond the process, let's talk about the product. The product has some cuts, and we all appreciate the cuts that are done to a budget, and we're not going to be dismissive of that. However, when we talk about structural change, Republicans talk about structural change that goes beyond saying we're not going to fund this line item because we're broke. We're not going to fund this line item because we're changing the way we're doing business. For instance, we should vote on union contracts. We've talked about that. I believe the governor came out today to say he would support such a notion. So you'll see an amendment on the floor talking about voting for union contracts, on the union contracts. A spending cap. There's no reason why we can't have a spending cap. You look at what they did in this implementer, they defined terms we have not had public hearings about. So why can't we do the spending cap? A bonding cap. Our bonding's out of control. We all know it. It's been written up by all sorts of financial magazines that we're out of control. We need to get a cap on that. Overtime accountability, and also, I might add, municipal mandate relief. We had a bunch of municipal mandates we believe that they had to get rid of. When you talk about ECS, why are there earmarks in ECS? Why are we saying everybody's being hurt, but we're going to pick out these few favorite sons and we are going to give them extra money just because we can? It's fundamentally wrong. This is not what people signed up in this building to do. And those 27, I believe it is, municipalities that are not going to get the car tax they were promised, people should review that. Municipalities have a right to weigh in on that. And they're just finding out about that maybe yesterday or maybe the day before. So there are serious issues here, not only on the process, but as well as the product. What I'd like to do is have Kevin Witkos come on up.
Thank you, Len. Most of the things that are going to occur with the passage of the 5 bills that we'll be debating at some point today don't take effect until July 1. So there's no reason why we need to rush today. These bills should be fully vetted by not only the legislature, but by those that we represent, whether at the municipal level or even at the state agency levels, and all of the constituent agencies who determine and depend on a lot of the services that the state budget provides. You know, sitting in the caucus room a few minutes ago, I was getting emails from municipal leaders urging change in some of the things that they found just this morning on a document that they had the opportunity to look at. And there are so many more individuals out there and agencies that have not had the opportunity to look at, and why rush forward with something that is so unnecessary? You know, we believe as Republicans that we should learn to live within our means, spend only the money that we need, have all the government that we need, but only the amount of government that we need. And we believe that, as Senator Fasano said, that the process before us today is rushing something. It's almost like I would akin it to that the state of Connecticut is on fire, and rather than dumping water on it, cooling it off, salvaging what's left and rebuilding off of that, the Democratic Party, the majority party in this chamber, is taking out the marshmallows and having a roast fest, because let's just rush to get something accomplished because, hey, it's summertime and the election's right around the corner, and we don't want you to know what's in there until after you've voted on it. I'll now turn the lectern over to Senator King.
Thank you, Kevin. The only thing I would add from an appropriations standpoint, we've seen the largest tax increase in our state's history, followed by the second largest tax increase in our state's history, and we're still in the fiscal mess that we have. This budget that we're voting on today has been fixed 4 times in the last year, and it's still not right. As Senator Fasano mentioned, it's business as usual. We're going through the same process, the same steps, and nothing's changing. We need long-term structural changes in order to put Connecticut on the right fiscal path. And we learned in our own businesses and our own lives that when you make a mistake, you own it, you live up to it, and you make changes in your policies. This legislature, this Democrat-led legislature, has made many mistakes over this time period, including these 4 fixes today that we're going to vote on today. And we still have not acknowledged that Connecticut is not on the right fiscal path and actually headed towards more deficits in the outgoing years. So that's what I would add from an appropriation standpoint.
So with that, are there any questions?